So I'm gonna use this guy first. This actually might be the intro, so next... Not yet, dingus! Hello everybody. I just spent the past, it's almost 7 now. I got here at 11, however many hours that is, making hard brake lines. Sorry if you're wobbling a little bit. I didn't really do an intro to the video. I kind of just got right to work because I knew I had a lot to do. Hope the wind isn't absolutely murdering the quality right now. I'm 99% sure this is going to be the next video. The last video was rebuilding my calipers. So I'm going through the whole brake system on the Volvo, redoing it all. Started with the calipers. Now I have 95% of the hard brake lines done. I actually ran out of hard lines, so I have to order some more. So I literally have 2 more, well, technically 4 more hard lines to do because I have a new proportioning valve that I'm going to route right after the master cylinder up front in the engine bay. So I have to make a mount for that, make 2 new lines for that, and then 2 hard lines going from the front to the rear like I just said. But yeah, I just wanted to get right to work, so I didn't do a lot of talking today. Hold on, I'm gonna... Ooh! I think this is actually gonna be the intro, so the next clip you'll see is me making and bending the hard lines. I actually did not forget to put a fitting on, which I was kind of anticipating. I did, however, have a hell of a time figuring out how to use the hydraulic brake flare tool. Turns out I was just being an idiot and I was doing it in the wrong order. I ended up doing inverted double flares on all of the lines because that's what we're on here already. And I was doing the wrong order of flares. But I figured it out nonetheless, and I'm actually really happy with how they came out. Let me show you. They're all kind of mumbo jumboed right now, but like I said, 95% of the brake lines are here. I have soft lines that I ordered from Rock Auto that, fingers crossed, are the right ones and that are gonna fit. Those are in the shop, but I have my new calipers. I have rotors in here. New pads are obviously in the calipers. So like I said, soft lines and mounting a proportioning valve and installing all the hard lines and fluid, lastly, will be coming up shortly. For right now, I'm signing off, but we're actually just getting into the video, so without further ado, let's make some brake lines. Long time no talk. I was gone at Pikes Peak for like 10 days. So I haven't been working on the Volvo at all, but I'm back. I got more brake line. I already pulled the rear brake lines off. I'm gonna measure them, cut, bend, flare, add my fittings. Ta-da! So basically the process is remaking the stock brake lines with new materials. So I've been using a measuring tape to measure how much I need to cut. It might be a little easier if you use like a piece of string, because the measuring tape, especially on these long ones, can be kind of tricky. But I'm gonna use my measuring tape because that's what I've been doing. This wind better calm down. I'm gonna do that real quick and then I'll get back to you once I have a measurement. I just took my measurements. I have 102.5 for one of them and 105.5 for the other one. So I'm gonna cut those. This brake line I got off of Amazon from the Stop Shop. It's like a copper nickel brake line, so it's super easy to bend by hand. I'm gonna use this bad boy to actually cut the brake line. I'll show you how this is used, but first I'm gonna measure out my cuts here. So I'm gonna lay it on the ground. Actually, I can show you. A Sharpie mark for my 102.5 piece first, and you slip this guy over. The handle falls off quite often. And you tighten this knob until it's snug. You start spinning it. You'll feel the tension relieve itself. Tighten a little more, spin, tighten a little more, spin, so on and so forth until eventually it just breaks right off, and then you have a super clean cut. When I'm measuring and cutting these brake lines, I add a little bit of material just for a little wiggle room. Today I did 1/2 inch because these runs are pretty long, but for all the other ones I did like a 1/4 inch. That is up to your discretion. I would just rather have it be a little bit longer than too short. Cool. Alright, now it is flare time. So I'm using this Master Cool hydraulic flare tool. I have 3/16 line and I'm doing inverted double flares. And I'm using 3/8 24 fittings. So I got a bunch of these. What you do is slide it on, and this isn't as crucial for the first one, but for the second one, make sure you put your fitting on first, because otherwise you have to remake the whole line. So stick these bad boys in there. This goes not like that. And then you want the end of the brake line to be flush with this surface here. Once it is, you tighten this up. It doesn't have to be mega tight, but you don't want it to move when you start flaring. So when you use this guy first, stick that in here, and then tighten it up, and then you want to guide it into the center of the brake line. And then once you're all the way tight, you close this and start pumping. Just kidding. And once it gets to a spot where it's like, you can kind of just tell that you can't go anymore, that's when you stop. I can't really give you a very accurate amount of how much you have to push, but there's the first inverted flare. And then you take this cone guy and you do the same thing. Make sure you guide it to the center. Close this. Pump again. And again, you don't have to squeeze super hard. It'll kind of let you know when it's done. Loosen this. And there is your inverted double flare. Now that the fittings are on and the ends are flared, it's time to shape it. So here are my reference lines, and it's pretty self-explanatory. I'm just gonna bend these lines to match the contour of these lines. And like I said, this copper nickel brake line is pretty easy to do by hand. So that is what I'm gonna do. Time has finally come to put the pretty new parts on. My pre-made lines, calipers, rotors. I will say the rears, the rotors did not want to come off. I started doing them last night and then I got kind of frustrated, so I stopped, did some research at home, and figured out that there's a drum brake for the parking brake inside of these rear rotors. And typically these like older cars, and if they've been sitting for a while, there can be like a ledge here that develops. This one's honestly not that bad. The rust was probably just like sticking to itself and didn't really want to budge. But what I did was I, stand by, whacked it with a hammer, like all around here, from back here a few times. I used a pry bar, and eventually they both came out. If that doesn't work, you can also, well, A, make sure the parking brake is off, make sure the car's in neutral, but then there's a star adjuster on this car, it's down here, but there's a star adjuster for the drum brake, and you can loosen that up, and then you should be able to wiggle your rotor loose. But yeah, that was pain in the ass. But let's continue on with the parts install. I have the driver's side done. Got the rear and the front passenger side. Let's go. I'm actually super stoked with today's progress. I got all 4 corners, calipers, rotors, pads, lines hooked up. I really hope everything goes smoothly, because this is the last step before I can, I can officially start driving the car. The tires that came with the car, kind of sketchy, but they'll probably work for a little cruising around. Nothing hardcore, nothing crazy. Eventually I'll get new tires. That's on the list. Oh, I need to make a battery tie down too, probably before I start driving it. Okay, bye. Alright, moment of truth. It is bleeding time. I pulled the master off again, bled that, put it back on, hooked up all the lines, tightened every fitting, pretty sure. So we're gonna see if these brakes work. I got my wheels ready to go. Kind of been waiting for this moment for a while now, so I really hope it all goes to plan. But it probably won't, but that's fine. We're about to find out. Not yet, dingus! No!
Hey, I can actually hear air bubbles squirting out somewhere. Oh, no, stop. I haven't done anything. Yeah, lots of leaking going on here.
Okay. Everyone stop crying.